Hey there, welcome back. Today I'm going to quickly talk about the Z7. I'm just going to go over some key things that I like about it, some things I don't like about it, and why I got mine. Alright, so some of the things I like about it is it's a nice smaller sort of camera. It's not huge, but it still has a good size grip. I've put a Arca Swiss plate on the bottom. I do that with most of my cameras, mostly just to protect the base and also give me just a fraction more grip. I tend to find with my hands, they may be bigger than most people's, that my little finger tends to fall off, and I get a better purchase on the camera when I have one of these plates on the bottom. They're not too expensive, you get them on eBay, and they just stay there and protect the bottom. They've still got tripod sockets on them, and they've got an Arca Swiss plate if you've got that style of mount on your tripod. Another thing that I like about this camera is the viewfinder. Got a great big viewfinder here, 3.6 million dots. It's probably not the biggest these days. It was really big at the time, but it's still very nice. Nice, clear, bright viewfinder. It's got a good screen on it, 2.1 million dots. Again, not the best today, but still very good. It's well made, you know, I believe it's an all magnesium sort of flagship level quality camera. This was the flagship back when it was released, and Nikon said it was. So it's good quality, it's got good quality buttons, everything works well on it. My camera, I bought it with about 50,000 clicks on it, and everything's working perfect. None of the buttons are showing signs of being rubbed off, you know, the lettering or anything. And everything works fine on it still. This camera has 5 stops of image stabilization, and that works well. It's got a good autofocus system now. I believe when it was first released, the autofocus was a little bit antiquated, but now they've updated it, and you know, it's got animal tracking, it's got eye tracking for people, and basically it's pretty good. I mean, it's not the best autofocus, but it's certainly usable, and it shouldn't hold you back if you're doing sort of reasonable things with it. It's not going to be a sports or action camera, I don't believe, but for what I do, which is like mostly portraits and landscapes, it works fine. What else do we have? We've got a nice little LCD display, or OLED, I'm not sure which one it is, but anyway, there's a display on top here which shows you your battery left, your aperture, your shutter speed. There's a rotating dial on the side here that has all the selections for the modes of the camera. There's 2 dials on it, one at the front on the grip and one on the back here where you expect it to be. It's all very familiar sort of Nikon placement of buttons. There is a exposure compensation button there, ISO button, and a video record button there. It's got 4K video, it's got slow motion and all that sort of jazz. It's a good video camera, I guess. I haven't really used it for video, but from what I can tell, it's a very capable sort of video camera, and it's got lots of features for that if you want to do that. Although I would say if you're buying a camera like the Z7, you're going to be more photography orientated. Okay, it has one XQD or I forgot the name, CF Express type card here, which some people don't like it having just one, but I've found that cards these days are pretty reliable. I can't say that I've had one fail on me, so touch wood. So yeah, that's one downside using this as a professional camera. You will not have a backup, which is a little bit concerning, but it's not the end of the world. I think you'd be pretty unlucky to have the card fail on you at this point in time. One of the main reasons I bought this camera is these two lenses. This one's the 85 1.4G, the old F-mount, and this is the Sigma 50 to 100. It's a crop sensor lens with F-mount. So both of these I use with the FTZ adapter. That's quite an expensive bit of kit, that, but they work perfectly with this adapter. In fact, better than they've ever worked, because obviously these lenses are both portrait orientated lenses now, and focusing is critical. So with the eye detect autofocus, these lenses work a treat on this. And yeah, that's another thing I'll touch on. The autofocus system has been updated since its release. It was a bit antiquated, so if you're reading an old review about this camera, it's probably got a big negative swing to it regarding the autofocus system. But that's all changed now, and it's pretty much up to date with other cameras. You know, you got your eye detect, you got animal and tracking, all those modes. Really good and useful and accurate. So don't really have a problem with the autofocus system on this camera. The image quality is beautiful. It's got the Nikon quality there. The colors are great. Probably a little bit more saturated than Canon or Sony. A bit more contrasty, a bit more bite. Something that I really like. And yeah, I've got to say, I've always liked Nikon colors, and that's one of the reasons I got this baby. Now, using it in DX mode, you're going to get a 20 megapixel camera. So that's not too bad. 20 megapixels pretty much plenty when you're doing portraits. And with this lens, and I've got image stabilization in the body here, and I've got a backside illuminated 20 megapixel sensor. So yeah, happy days. Okay, so that's about it. Some of the negatives are the cost of the camera. The camera's holding its value pretty well, although I got mine reasonably cheaper because it has nearly 50,000 clicks on it, and people seem to shy away from cameras with anything above 5,000 shutter actuations. So that's a good bargain to be had. And the one card slot, of course, is a negative. And of course, the new lenses from Nikon for this camera are super expensive and kind of unreasonably expensive, I would say. But anyway, with this adapter you can get your old lenses to work on it. It's a little bit clunky, as you can see. It's, you know, big spacer, and I don't really like that situation. But yeah, they work perfectly with it. I will add in that the FTZ, I've got the FTZ2, which I got with the camera, fortunately. Got a really good price for everything I got, and it's very bloody expensive, the FTZ adapter. This one, the FTZ2, I think it's about $400 Australian or something crazy. Seems like a lot to pay for just an adapter. So yeah, I think they're kind of raping us there, but what can you do? I don't believe that the other third-party adapters work as well as this one, from what I'm reading online. So if you do want to adapt Nikon lenses, I would get the FTZ. You're going to have to fork out a bit of cash for that one. One thing I will mention is that shortly I've got an adapter coming which can adapt Sony lenses. Now, I've got quite a few Sony lenses, and I'm really excited about this because if that adapter works well, I will not have to get a whole lot of lenses. I'll be able to use my nice Sony lenses on this camera, and I'm going to be a happy man. So that's it. That's the Nikon Z7. It's a good camera. I recommend it. And I would say the Z6 would be very similar in build quality and functionality. and probably it's a great buy at the moment as well. So if you want though the flexibility to do crop with this, if you crop the smaller sensor in the Z6, it's going to be much less megapixels. I think it's only 10 megapixels. But when you crop this sensor to DX, it's 20 megapixels, which is still plenty. So yeah, that's the main reason I got the Z7. And I forgot to mention that there are different settings for your raw recordings. You can have large, medium and small. Large is 44 megapixels, the medium's 31 and the small's 24, which some people will never use because, you know, getting a camera like this, they just want to shoot at the maximum resolution they can get from it, and that's fair enough, I understand that. But for somebody who's mixing it up and maybe, you know, or like myself, this is a good advantage. If I want to shoot, for instance, an event or a wedding, I can shoot on medium at 31 megapixels and I can save a bit of time in the downloading, a bit of space on my computer, and I'm not going to lose much in picture quality at all. But if I do go, you know, to the seaside and do some landscape, or out in the bush or something and doing some detailed landscape photography, and I want that really good resolution from this camera, I can just switch it to large. So that's a great advantage that this camera has that other cameras do not. So I'm happy with that as well. Okay, so that's it from me, and I'll catch you again next time. Bye.